Okay, come in here. Get in close. Let me tell you something. I know that we already did a conversation about heated rivalry on the show.
It's horny. It is so lusty and freaky.
But here's the thing. I don't think a lot of people could have predicted just how big the show would become. It just has kept on getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And now you have all kinds of celebrities talking about how it's their favorite show on the planet.
Shout out to Heated Rivalry. Everyone loves it.
And it's kind of catapulted the stars of Heated Rivalry to just a new level of stardom. I got really excited about having this conversation because I think the show is doing something that captures the moment in a really beautiful way, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. So we have Cassandra Morann here and Lainey here and Jason P. Frank, and they are much smarter than I on the subject, and they spent a lot of time thinking about the sort of global phenomenon that Heated Rivalry is, and I think they sort of took the conversation to places I did not expect. I hope that you enjoy this conversation as well. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to the cottage. That's the best Russian accent you can possibly get out of me. Okay. First of all, before we get into the conversation with the size of just the excitement around Heated Rivalry, I think it's probably good to just kind of take a quick little reset here and just explain to people the stratosphere that we are at. So Connor Story and then Hudson Williams, those are the actors who play Ilya and Shane, they were waiting tables just a few months ago before the show comes out. And then the show comes out. Now they're presenting at the Golden Globes this weekend. Earlier this week, they were on the daytime talk shows and the late night shows as well.
From the new hit show Heated Rivalry, Hudson Williams is here.
That crowd could not get enough of Hudson Williams. I mean, crowds like that don't normally respond like that to TV stars. And there's also, here's how Stephen Colbert and Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper describe things live on CNN on New Year's Eve.
Has Heated Rivalry made everybody insane? Yes. Yes. Is this a heated rivalry effect?
Yes, it is.
So today we are going to just take a moment and just like take stock and sort of just like reset for a moment and say, yes, everyone is losing their minds over Heated Rivalry. Lainey, when we had you on the show had just launched, and I don't think a lot of people could have predicted how absolutely massive it could get. How would you describe the reaction to this show in the month since we last talked?
Well, I'll describe it the way people have been describing it over the last few days after like a security guard at NBC said, I haven't seen anything like this since Harry Styles. People are comparing it to Beatlemania, like, boy bands. And it does feel like that. The online support, the virality of each of these actors, whenever they say something, do something, wash their face.
That's a little too much, but I'm going to use it anyway.
Is explosive.
Yeah.
And for me, as a culture critic and someone who, reports on Hollywood, it's also been extraordinary the way other celebrities have reacted to them,
Yes.
right? They were the talk of the Critics' Choice. Heated Rivalries was the talk of the Critics' Choice Awards red carpet. They're the talk of every red carpet. They're presenting at the Golden Globes. They will be seated with Julia Roberts. I mean, I don't, just to give your audience a perspective, usually they seat TV actors at the Golden Globes, like in the back, and the film actors are in the front.
Yeah.
So when they're being seated next to Julia Roberts, you can tell how much everyone wants a piece of them. It's enormous. So yeah, there's no hyperbole here. It's massive.
I've really been struck by how almost every red carpet, like all the celebrities are being asked about Heated Rivalry, as though they're just assuming that every celebrity is actually watching the show, and they are, and they have like a really big response to it. And Jason, it struck me on the way in to work today that today Netflix is putting out People We Meet on Vacation. In theory, that should be a huge release for Netflix, and and I too am making that face that you're making, be like, how much noise can you possibly make about this movie? Because it feels like Heated Rivalry has kind of taken up all of the oxygen. So you've got the press run, but also you've got this entire sort of like organic rollout. Like dance clubs are sort of hosting Heated Rivalry nights. There are watch parties in bars. It's kind of, I feel like the fandom's kind of taken a life of its own. When did it kind of like strike you being like, whoa, we reached a new level as you're sort of watching all this unfold?
I think when it went from like, it was already a hit. I think around episode 3, I was like, oh, this is a big hit.
Yeah.
And then episode 5, when that aired, which I think is like, I think pretty much everyone agrees is like a high watermark of the show.
Yeah.
I got so many texts from people who were just like, "You're a gay person. Please talk to me about this." Straight girls from high school that I like don't talk to were messaging me. People were talking to me. Like it was like they didn't know that I had covered it. Like I had interviewed Francois Arnaud for that episode. They didn't know that. They didn't care about that. They just needed a way to get their feelings out. And I don't see that often. That's not I'm not getting unprompted text super commonly about shows. So I think that was when I realized that it had become really big. And then once the show finished, and then more people were still texting me about it, that was when I realized, like, it's not just because most shows, like, they can get really, really big while they're on, and then they go off the air, and then it kind of dies out. I got a text from my sister for the first time like 2 days ago about this show, being like, all of the nurses in the ER are talking about this. I don't know what to do. Am I supposed to watch it? And I was like, wait till my niece goes to bed.
Okay.
And then sure.
I first of all, I just want to hold on this notion of this idea of like straight girls from high school is like such a wonderful metric of just like the people who are reaching out to you going like, I need someone to talk to at the show. Because I do feel like it is that kind of show. It's a kind of show where like once you start watching, you're like, oh, I need a conversation about it. I need a conversation about this after every single episode that you watch. And Cassandra, listen, you've been here since day one. And by day one, I mean like from the books, right? So like you're a fan of the books, but you're not just a fan of the books. You also have been sort of in the middle of the online fandom of the show since it launched as well. And then as you kind of scroll through your feed and see that it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're someone who does not miss any of the details of this, what is it about the show that like, as much as like there is this large phenomenon happening, it is because it sort of deeply connects personally with people who are watching it. What is it about the show that kind of connects deeply personally for you?
Yeah, I think as like a bisexual woman, as somebody who's on the autism spectrum, I attached very deeply to Shane from the beginning. And I think everybody in some way can find something to connect in this show. Like whether you're demographically the same, I think those identity pieces and the way that otherness is portrayed in the show is really familiar to people, regardless of exactly if they fit those features. And I think having the specificity, those details that you can really dig into, tease apart, it rewards you for thinking about it deeply. I think that creates fandom. I think it creates people who want to obsess over it and learn all these details and find all these perspectives about it. So I think it's a really unique show in that way.
So there's a deeply personal level of connecting with the show, and then there is like sort of like watching a thing that you care about become a legitimate phenomenon. And so to that effect, I want to read something that you posted this week, Cassandra. You posted, mark the date, January 7th, 2026 is the day that these two become stars. You're referring here to both Connor and Hudson. I can't exactly put into words what is different about today than any other, but it's shifted. They aren't just the guys from the queer hockey show. They aren't just actors or even the hot thing at the moment. They're stars. What is it about this moment right now where you kind of go, something's different? You're right about this.
Well, I mean, as I said, I can't really put it into words, but I'll try. I think that there was a moment on that day when I watched like Hudson go from CNN to Andy Cohen to Jimmy Fallon. And these are names that everybody knows. I mean, Connor's at the Chanel party. I mean, this is cultural touchstones that like people dream about, people aspire to. It's the thing you put on your bathroom mirror when you're a little kid that you want to be doing.
Yeah.
And seeing them permeate the mainstream culture, like the stuff that my grandma's going to be aware of, was really wild and unbelievable. And it felt like a shift for them from any level of nicheness to being 100% mainstream.
Yeah, I think like the idea of like this being a niche interest that a lot of people are excited about, we've left that a little while ago. Like we're sort of at a different level now. And to talk about that level, like Lainey, like I think it's useful to sort of, we've tried to give a sense of the scale, right? But I think what's useful to talk about is the why, right? And so showrunner Jacob Tierney and the execs at Crave Bell Media, they sort of they didn't take notes from HBO. The HBO wanted a little bit less sex at the beginning, and they were like, no, we're not interested in this. The TV adaptation is also very true to the books. To what extent do you think it was that made the show the hit that it ended up becoming?
Well, I think that has a lot to do with it, right? That it was true to the books in the sense of the intimacy was there.
Yeah.
The sex, of course, the physicality of it was there. But sex and intimacy are part of romance. That's what it is. The romance is there. And, it's that yearning.
Yeah.
People have been talking a lot, like yearning is the buzzword since Heated Rivalry blew up. And I think that's what, when romance explodes in this way, the common denominator isn't sex and titillation, it's yearning. Twilight blew up because of the yearning, because those two people were destined to be together, and you had micro expressions where they're looking at each other. This is what Jacob Tierney, I believe, truly understood. Yes, the sex scenes are done well and they're very viral, but it's the yearning. It's the way these two people look at each other. And if you look at the rise in K-dramas, for example, over the last few years, explosive, right? Netflix's library really became so successful. One of the reasons is because of this K-drama rise. It's because in Eastern culture, yearning is essential to their storytelling in romance, and they're experts at micro expressions, long shots of two people just looking at each other. In the West, the way they make TV and movies, they're impatient with that. Western viewers, they thought, didn't have patience for it. And so a lot of the sex and the yearning has been cut out, but there was a huge audience wanting that. And I think that's what Heated Rivalry understood, the audience wanting yearning. And they depicted it beautifully.
And I should say, this is a show where the romance is taking place over years. I mean, the timeline extends over, months and months, and then after that, years and years of these two just kind of circling each other, orbiting each other in different sort of degrees of closeness. And it's one thing to sort of just tell you, hey, it's been a few months. It's another thing for you to actually feel that as you're watching the show. And I think the show actually does a really good job of saying, hey, time has lapsed, and these two are like looking for each other in a way that is more deeply meaningful than it was just 6 months ago, even though it's just been 2 scenes since the last time that you saw them. I will say some of us have been day one yearners. You know what I mean? So I'm just if folks are new as to the buzzword yearning, I don't know, get on the train. Jason, in an op-ed in the New York Times, Jim Downs called the show a cultural earthquake and explained its popularity this way. And I'm going to quote here. He said, "It's not the thrill of naked bodies, but the shock of being emotionally known. That is what some of us have been missing." Does that resonate with you? Is that the thing that you're picking up from the show?
Yes, and also it's a little bit about the thrill of the naked body, right?
Yes.
I mean, yeah. Am I allowed to swear on the show?
Go for it.
Okay, so there's this very famous quote from Max Muchnick, who created Will and Grace, where he said when he started, the number one rule that he had was, you don't want Americans to ever think about butt is the quote. Because and that's why those characters on Will and Grace are super desexualized. You aren't showing that, they rarely show them in relationships. It's just they're kind of clowns, etc. And that's what needed to be done at the time to have gay people on TV. Totally understandable. That's what it was at the time. I think the reason that this show feels so exciting for queer audiences is that it's but what if we did talk about the sex? What if we did show the sex? What if the sex was emotionally meaningful? What if that was the way that we showed this relationship was sex forward? And I don't think anyone's ever seen that before. So as much as I totally understand the value of being known, etc., I also think that there's real value in being and also we're gonna show sex, and it's gonna be really it's going to be sex that's based within the characters, and you're going to see that for the first time. So yeah, I think it's a little bit about the sex.
Two things. One, I actually do think we're going to end up censoring that. I don't know if that's actually going to make it to air or not, but that's a whole other conversation.
Okay, totally.
But I think that the larger thing that you said, though, this idea of there is something to be said, right, about actually showing sex on television that is also emotionally intelligent, because I do think that there's been a lot of sex on TV, but that does not actually necessarily mean. That's what viewers are looking
right.
for.
It's like we have two characters,
Yeah.
and then the minute they get to having sex,
yeah.
they stop being those characters, right? Like they were just showing like a routine like sex act. And this show, I think the characters continue being the characters through the sex.
Yes.
Which is something that is really valuable and helpful.
And also rare. I think rare on television.
And rare.
Yeah.
Completely.
My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud, and this show is called Commotion. Cassandra Morann is here, Jason P. Frank is here, and Lainey Louie is here, and we're talking about the things that have made Heated Rivalry the show that is the show of the moment. Okay, are you guys ready to go to the cottage?
What the was that?
A loon?
A what?
A loon. It's a bird.
Sounds like a wolf.
It's a bird, trust me. You're so scared.
What kind of a bird makes a noise like that?
A loon. Wolf?
Stupid Canadian wolf bird.
Just the greatest phrase that anyone's ever described a loon. Cassandra, so much of the narrative of the show is like, this is the show that is a Canadian triumph. It's an authentically Canadian sort of screen adaptation. It stayed very true to how much Canadianness there is, you know, in the show itself. And the details kind of situate it in like, this couldn't take place anywhere else, right? So like we were talking about like Shane Hollander, he's from Ottawa, like that's their cottage just outside Ottawa. His dad works with the Treasury Board of Canada, which is like not a job title that I expected to see in a romance at all. I'm curious about like the Canadianness of the show, Cassandra, and how integral it is to the success of the show.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this sentiment in a lot of places of this couldn't have been made in America. I don't think it would have necessarily even been greenlit in America, certainly not in this form.
Yeah.
And I mean, I felt a certain amount of patriotic pride for a country I'm not from when I see the like paid for by Canadian tax dollars at the end of this episode. Like, God bless, thank you all like for making this show happen.
Yeah.
Because it does feel necessary. I mean, the specificity of all of these details, the culture of hockey that's really unfamiliar. And I think some of the escapism of this show is being able to fully immerse yourself in something that maybe I'm not super familiar with and getting to dive into this world and a world that maybe is hopefully getting a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really attractive, I think. And so I also think it's really incredible that they gave a filmmaker who clearly had such a fandom for this and a vision for what's coming, the freedom to do it how we want it. I mean, you guys talked earlier about how HBO is like, oh, let's do less sex scenes at the beginning. And he's like, no. And that's an incredible thing to be able to say, hey, there's an artistic vision for what this needs to be.
Yeah.
And that takes priority over studio notes that they think are going to make them more money.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's also a little Canadian too, because, you know, it's not maybe as much about the almighty dollar as the art, and that's beautiful.
Well, Lainey, let me ask you the same question, but maybe as a double barrel question. Number one, how important is Canadianness to the show itself? But I guess also the reverse of that, which is like, how important is the show to Canada right now? Just to have a hit that is this big.
I mean, I speak as someone who works in the television production broadcasting business, and we need this for sure. It's a contracting industry.
Mm-hmm.
Many of our peers are looking for work, need the work. This is wonderful for the team behind Heated Rivalry, many of whom I know because it's a small industry. I mean, you probably know them too, right? So we need this. So more Heated Rivalry, and hopefully Heated Rivalry can set an example for greenlighting stories that come from here, that are made here, trusting the creatives here. So that's amazing. As for the Canadianness of Heated Rivalry and this being essential to its success, I mean, one of the best examples of that is Shane's Olympic kit, right? His zip up.
The fleece, you're talking about the fleece, like little sweater that he's wearing.
That he wears to the Olympics.
As a team, was supposed to be a Team Canada on the show.
It was supposed to be a Team Canada. He wears it to the Olympics in Sochi. It was designed by Hannah Pooley, who is the costume designer for the show. She made it, she designed it. It has gone viral. Everybody wants it, to the point where they've been lobbying the actual Team Canada Olympic team, because the Olympics are happening in, I don't know, 6 weeks or something.
Yeah.
That it's better than the actual Team Canada gear that they're saying, and everybody wants it. So you don't do that. You can't make that if Hannah Pooley isn't Canadian.
Yeah.
If she wasn't raised here, if she doesn't know the culture, if she wasn't looking for something cozy for a Canadian player who's from Ottawa. That is so specific and so essential. Now, did they think that this zip up would blow up online? No, maybe not, but it's not surprising because it's so essential to the show and the characters. So in terms of the Canadianness of it, 100%, it's critical.
I would hate to join the chorus of people who are like, give us this fleece zip up, but like, please, the people are yearning for the zip up. It's time to release that to the public. Okay, there is so much buzz about the second season already. You have all these celebrities saying they're excited. For example, people like Miley Cyrus.
This is like every conversation I've had today has started with, you have to do this.
You have to do music in the second season.
So book me, get me booked.
Miley's like, seems like she wants to do it for free. Like, so that's Miley Cyrus being like, please get me involved in season 2 immediately. There is like so much sort of excitement about this, but also showrunner Jacob Tierney was clearly trusting his gut about where he wanted to take the show in this first season. It paid off. What the thing that he needs to do, Jason, in order to sort of make sure that the second season still feels true, even after having created this phenomenon? Because I think it kind of can be a little bit easy to have all of the attention sort of spoil the thing. So how do you protect the thing that makes the show work for the second season, Jason?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I think they'll have to maintain a sense of scrappiness. They're going to have a lot more I think, resources for the second season that they didn't have for the first one.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that they maintain, like, because from everything that they've said about the making of the show, it was very much like made in this little bubble where they didn't really know what it was going to do. Is this going to be too much for Western audiences? You know, those questions loom, and they keep you feeling like you're in your own little area. Like, maybe no one will ever watch this. We just want to make it good.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really valuable emotion to have going into creating something. Now they know it's a hit. Now they know that 1 billion people are going to be watching it, and every sex scene that they have, and every emotional chat that they have, and every phone call that they have. They know people will be watching. And you don't want to play to that too much. You don't want to feed into what audiences expect and want from you too much. I'm really curious what that looks like. I also think we're going to be in a place where, the characters will have progressed beyond the setup for the show at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, Scott's come out publicly. What will that look like for him navigating that particular... I hope that they keep Scott on the show.
Yeah.
What will that look like? What will navigating modern gay life look like for that character now? Like, he's going to be able to go to the gay bar. What does that look like? That's not something that this show has had to engage with yet. I'm really curious to see how they do it. I think that it's important that they maintain a sense that we're still doing this just for the art of it rather than for like a fandom, because that's when second seasons like Glee or whatever can go really awry.
I love that wish for the show. I want to end with a throwback to 12-year-old Connor Story. Have a listen to this.
Hey there, YouTube. It's me, Connor Story. Yep, it's me, Connor Story. This is my first YouTube video, and my username is ActorBoy222. Well, the reason why it is ActorBoy222 is because I want to be an actor when I grow up.
ActorBoy222. Cassandra, I gotta say, it is nice to see that little kid's dream have come true, presenting at the Golden Globes this weekend. But I'm also curious, like, are you at all worried about the pressure that these actors are under now that everyone wants a piece of them?
I think you gotta be a little worried. I mean, when they go from so few people really know, I mean, they're walking around their lives just as humans, and now they have bodyguards taking them into the Tonight Show. That's got to be overwhelming. I mean, they're grown men. They know what they're doing. They're very media trained and very savvy. They're, fantastic. But having been in fandom spaces for a long time, sometimes people can get a little crazy and, think that they're owed things of actors that they don't necessarily want to give, that they're not required to give. So I think that there is some worry there, and I hope the fandom feels some responsibility to being better than maybe other fandoms have been, because this show is maybe a little better than other shows have been. So let's reciprocate the responsibility of what they've given us and the vulnerability with some responsibility on our end, I hope. I
sort of take that wish to heart as I sort of like head into this weekend, excited to watch the Golden Globes. mostly excited to watch how the room responds to them. Like, we're talking about like the most famous people on the planet, people who are in the middle of the reward season, and they're just headed into this like really exciting moment. And to them, the people from Heated Rivalry, they're the celebrities. And I think like that's an exciting place to be. I want to watch that play out. But in the meantime, I got to say thank you to all three of you. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Bye. Thank you so much for having us.
Of course. Thank you. Cassandra Morann hosts the Rational Romantics podcast. She's also an English teacher and a romance writer. She's in Washington State. Jason P. Frank writes for Vulture. He's in New York. Lainey Louise, eTalk's senior correspondent and the founder of LaineyGossip.com. She's in Toronto. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This show is called Commotion. Hey, we'll see you Monday.